Welcome back to Rough Cut Woodworking. In this section of my kitchen video series, we're going to show you how I make toe kicks, skins, and fillers. So we're going to start today with toe kicks. Now my toe kicks are made from 3/4 inch particle board, the whole thing, and we'll run a skin across the front of it that matches the rest of the kitchen. So first, it starts with a heavy 3/4 inch sheet of particle board. And since I'm a one-man show, I'm going to show you how to do it with one person, but I promise it's easier with more than one person to help hold this up. Haul it over to the table saw, set this to 4 inches. So 4 inches is right there. And if I'm going to be cutting pieces for toe kicks, I usually just cut the entire sheet and have a big stack of material to draw from. If I have too much, great, I'll use it on the next project. If I don't have enough, then I'll just do it again and store the rest. So what I do is I'll set it to 4, and I usually will cut 5 pieces that are 4 inches wide, 5 strips. Then whatever's left, I'll set this to 3.5 for the rest of it and cut the rest of the sheet. And again, just have a stack of material to draw from. Now while this last piece here, this leftover, isn't 3.5, it's a little bit too small, I can still use it for another part of the toe kick, which I'll talk about in a minute. Here at the upcut saw or the chop saw, either machine will do this job perfectly. All we're going to do is cut pieces to the right length. So I have, and the cut list will tell you that, I need to cut one piece that's 4 inches wide, that's 79.5. We're going to build a big one today. So set it to 79.5, grab your piece and make a cut. The next thing we need to do is we're going to make some braces. So this is an example of one of the braces we need for our toe kicks. We need a bunch of these because we have a lot of toe kicks. So I'll explain how these go in a little bit later, but that board that we didn't use on the table saw is perfect for that. So all I'm going to do is just move this stop out of the way and then just kind of lift it up so it's out of the way. I don't need it at all for this cut. So all we do, turn this to 45 degrees, lock it in, and we're going to put that front corner right in the middle of the saw kerf, right there, and make our cuts. And then just flip the board all the way over, do a 180, and do the top of that next corner right on the cut. Now the thing about making miter joints is whenever you cut, it wants to move the board the direction the blade is going. So in this case, it's wanting to push the board to my left, because that's the direction of the 45. So make sure to keep a good hold. If that thing shifts, then all of a sudden this isn't a perfect 90 degrees anymore, and that's going to kind of mess up the toe kick. So flip and cut. Next thing we need to do is assemble the parts you made, and I've got what I call ribs, or the parts that go in the middle. So we're basically making a ladder, and I have my front and I have my back. Now I need to mark where these go so they're straight. I don't want them at angles. So I line up the end perfectly, so that's nice and flush, and then I'm going to put a pencil line where they should go. Now keep in mind, you're welcome to use a tape measure if you want. Ribs usually are about 20 inches apart or so. I've done them, as little as 12 or 24, somewhere in that range. But 20 is about your rough estimate. So by all means, take out a 20 inch and just kind of measure it out. But I try to even them out as best I can. So find about the center, which is about here, and just my eyeball is fine. Draw a line on both of them. So the line extends from this one to this one. Now I'm going about halfway, which I can tell is about 18 inches or so. There, and then I know I've got one at the end. Then just repeat on the other side. About halfway is about here. And then of course one at the end. They're not spaced perfectly, of course. That's okay. I just need these to be straight. So then I put the big one in the back and I start on the small one because they're the same height as the ribs. First thing we do, we're going to start on the end. So we'll grab one of the ribs and it's going to go here flush on the end. Keep a few things in mind. First, I always try to make this perfectly flat as I can. Number two, my tables are old. They are not necessarily flat, so be careful. Could have bumps in it. This one is going to be sticking up a little higher than this or vice versa. So just laying them both on the table doesn't guarantee that's flat. And it's critical that this joint here on all of the ribs is flat so that my cabinet boxes, when they're sitting on top, lay flat, lay level. Okay? So we take a bottle of glue. We'll just stick a line of glue on there. Just right in there as a butt joint, right there. We're going to use long nails. So I have my nail gun handy and I loaded it with the long nails. And this is where it gets tricky because you have to hold everything flat at once and then stick a nail in it. Then hold the bottom flat. And I do 3 shots per joint. Then you're going to move down to the next one. So again, take the board, put some glue on the end, stick it on right in the center of that line. So the line I drew is dead center on the board. Honestly, I don't care if you do to the right, to the left, or center. As long as it's consistent with both sides, it doesn't matter to me. So get that dead center. I have to lift this just a little bit to make it flush with this one. So I'm holding it up a little, making it as flat as I can, nail in it, and then I can kind of hold it down. 2 more shots, now that's in. And then do the rest of the ribs. Now that the ribs are in, simply lift this piece up, kind of slide it to the middle. I'm going to glue the ends of all of these and then put the other side on. In this case, because I know that the board I'm putting on is 4 inches tall instead of these 3.5, it's going to be sticking out. It's going to be hard to level. So I just set it on top and let gravity do all my work for me, and it kind of holds it in place. So now from this side, we do the same thing. Just line that up, and instead of nailing horizontally, I'm going to nail vertically. Line these up with your lines just like you did before, and work your way down. The whole time making absolutely sure that it's flush on this side. Same thing, we got to have one side that's perfectly flat. Now that the frame is put together, it's not exactly the most sturdy piece of wood that we could have. It actually will rack a little bit. So to brace it, we're going to use these little triangles that we cut a whole bunch of, and they're just in a box somewhere. And those braces are going to go in the corners here and along some of the ribs. Now the thing about these is, if you want to put them flush with the top, that's okay, but more often than not when you shoot it, they'll open up a little bit, and then this is sticking up higher than this plane where the cabinet's going to go. So to solve that problem, so it's never going to unbalance the cabinet, simply drop it down about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm actually purposefully holding it down a little bit from this edge. These aren't structural in that the cabinet isn't sitting on these. These braces are just there to hold this square. The cabinets are sitting on these top edges, that's it. So take your bottle of glue, lines of glue on both corners, put it in the corner, hold it down a little. Even if you hold it down a lot, it could be in the middle of this and it'd still do its job. It's just easier to hold with it a little bit high, and 2 shots in each corner. Make sure not to hit your hands while you're doing it. Missed shots happen all the time. Just grab a pair of pliers, rip them out, and continue on. So where do these go? I put braces in each outside corner, so another one will go here, and then on the opposite end, same thing, here and here. And then I'll put 1 brace per rib. So I'll put 1 on one side, and then the next rib will have it on the other end, and so forth. So just laddering them down. So I don't need them in every joint, but I do like them in the outside corners, 1 per rib. And there you have it. That's a finished toe kick. I'll usually put the name of the client on the front just so I can tell them apart, but this one is now ready for installation. Last thing I wanted to mention was, what if the toe kick is for an island? Now, if you remember, the front is 4 inches, the rest of it is 3.5, so it allows me to level it, and there's supposed to be a wall back here that I can screw it to keep it up off the floor. On an island, there's no wall. So all you have to do in this case is make the front 4 inches and the back 4 inches. The middle ribs stay at 3.5. That will allow you to have it set flat on the floor, maybe a little shimming in the front if the floor is not even, but that actually is what takes care of an island toe kick.